already drawn, so they're just gonna have to do that shit over. I think it was a scheme so they could have a rematch anyway.
The rematch between GervontaDavis and LamontRoach is officially happening. This comes after the New York State Athletic Commission gave its final decision about their first fight, which many people thought was unfair. Since then, the boxing world has been full of arguments, and fans can't agree on whether the decision was right.
The mental breakdown of Tank, like, again, if you got that elite level Y, you know what you saw.
The New York State Athletic Commission has decided to keep the original result of a majority draw, even though they admitted that referee Steve Willis made mistakes in the 9th round. Willis started counting, but suddenly stopped in the middle, letting Davis go back to his corner. There, his team broke the rules by wiping his face before the round continued. That should have led to a disqualification, but Davis kept his undefeated record. The commission said the right call would have been to count it as a knockdown, but they defended their decision by saying the referee's choice is final.
Man, these boys fought almost a week ago. It ain't been a week yet, but
many fans and fighters now believe that Roach was unfairly denied what could have been the biggest win of his career. Even Canelo Alvarez spoke out, saying he took a knee, so he should have lost that round 10-8, and his corner came in and wiped his face. That's clearly a disqualification. I'm just talking about the rules. Canelo's comments reflect what many people already think, that Davis was given special treatment and protected by officials who didn't want to ruin his perfect record.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put it a towel.
Roach shared his thoughts on social media, showing frustration but staying calm. He said, "Look, man, I'm going to tell y'all straight up, I didn't sue anybody. My team filed an appeal for me. What kind of team would they be if they didn't stand up when they knew something was wrong? They had my back, so y'all can stop talking about a lawsuit." He posted this on X. Roach also made it clear he didn't expect the decision to be changed, but he's confident people know the truth. "Everyone knows I won the fight, and I'm satisfied with that," he said.
But on the corner, too. He did tell me, he said he probably going to come out a little
Part 2 is on the way, and just like that, the rematch is happening. The WBA didn't waste any time. They ordered an immediate rematch, and surprisingly, Davis agreed. He even said he'd be ready as soon as May. But let's be real. Does he actually want to fight Roach again? The way he looked in the ring, tired and struggling with Roach's pressure, says otherwise. Boxing politics are clearly at play here. Davis keeping his undefeated record helps the promoters, networks, and sanctioning bodies who all make money off his success. A loss to Roach would have hurt that business badly. Lower ticket sales, fewer pay-per-view buys, and less hype for future big fights. So now the real question is, did the New York Commission stand by the referee because they truly believed in the decision, or were they protecting a moneymaker from taking his first loss?
To be honest, I've already made it competitive for real, to be honest. But for sure, Lamont is a great fighter. He got the skills, like I said before.
Roach knows exactly what happened that night, and so does Davis. It was no matter how much Davis tries to act calm, deep down he knows he was just inches away from his first loss. Now, he has no choice but to face it all over again. Roach, on the other hand, has nothing to lose and everything to gain. If he brings the same energy and pushes even harder this time, Davis might not be able to slip away again.
Knockdown 1. So that's why I'm yelling at the referee, like, keep counting. Like, you tripping. Keep counting. That's a knockdown.
And let's talk about Steve Willis, the referee at the center of all this. He's known for his dramatic facial expressions during fights, but now people are questioning his actual judgment. How do you start a knockdown? Count. Stop halfway through and then pretend like it never happened. And what was he thinking when he let Davis's corner illegally wipe his face? If Willis made those calls out of simple mistake or poor judgment, then maybe he shouldn't be refereeing high-stakes fights. But if there was something more behind it, something intentional, then boxing has a much bigger issue than just one bad decision. Davis, of course, is standing his ground. His team says he was never really hurt, didn't deserve to lose a point, and that Roach simply wasn't good enough to clearly beat him. But the footage tells a different story. Davis's knee hit the canvas, the ref started a count, his corner stepped in illegally, and somehow he still kept his undefeated record. So the question is, how much more protection does he really need? His rematch is shaping up to be explosive. Roach is coming in with even more fire. He's not just fighting for a title anymore, he's fighting against a system he believes cheated him. Davis, on the other hand, now has something to prove, that he can beat Roach clean, without any controversy.
People are saying that Lamont caught him with a good, left, and then, that's why Tank went ahead and took it.
Fans are already divided on what to expect in the rematch.
When I really got a chance to look at it,
Davis
he
will
really
come out
rolled
more
that
aggressive
punch
and try to finish Roach early to shut down the critics. Others think Roach has figured Davis out and will turn up the pressure even more to expose his weaknesses. Meanwhile, some pros are still backing Tank, saying it was just an off night. Jaron Boots Ennis is leading that camp. While the rest of the boxing world blew up over the controversial draw between Davis and LamontRoach Jr., Ennis stayed calm. He didn't get caught up in the outrage, the conspiracy talk, or claims that Davis got special treatment. Instead, he gave props to both fighters, saying they both put on a great performance.
That kept me kept me sane while I was inside there. You know what I mean? So
and really take it from him, and I feel as though that Lamont did a great job at that, and he was trying to catch and counter him and things like that, but I don't know. I think he caught Tank off guard a little bit, maybe, but and the Tank wasn't really
in Ennis's eyes, the draw wasn't a robbery. It was just a great fight. That's
I don't know, it's just a lot of
how he
things.
put it plain and simple. He had Davis slightly ahead on his own card, 1-15-1-13, but he wasn't upset with the official result either. That's a rare perspective in boxing, where almost every close fight turns into a full-blown controversy. Most fighters, trainers, and fans were split into two extremes. Either Roach was robbed, or Davis was unfairly attacked. But Ennis stayed in the middle, giving respect to both men. Lamont did a great job, actually, he said. I just don't think he did enough to pull it off. And I feel like people are overlooking what Tank was doing in those first 5 or 6 rounds.
I just so happen to be a boxing fan that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed for the immediate rematch.
He wasn't wrong
when I
either.
signed for the first fight.
2 of the official
just in case
judges
he
saw
lost,
Davis
or just in case it was a
controlling
draw.
the early
So when you
part
got
of
a
the
rematch
fight,
clause,
winning
how long
5
would it
out of
take?
the first 6 rounds. But because the fight ended in controversy, nobody wanted to talk about that. Instead, all the energy was focused on that 9th round, and that's where things got messy. Davis clearly touched the canvas with his knee, and everyone knows what that's supposed to mean: a knockdown.
Got me with a good shot, but it was times that I sat in there with him and I'm like, damn, this guy super slow. Well,
Ennis
not
didn't
super
argue
slow,
against
but
that.
he's slow.
In fact,
and I could have took
he admitted
advantage of
outright
it.
that the referee
I
should
think
have
I
made
was
the call.
boxing too much in
But
the
even then, he
beginning.
wasn't quick to cry foul. He offered 2 possible explanations. One, that Davis's Superstar status influenced the moment, or two, that the referee just froze under pressure. Anybody else, they would have called it a knockdown, Ennis said, hinting at the possibility that Davis got special treatment. But then, almost immediately, he gave a more charitable explanation. It might have been a big moment for the referee. The referee didn't know what to do, or things like that. Mistakes happen. Things happen. It's boxing at the end of the day.
I'm still rooting with him. I saw the negativity and people, critics talking.
He said,
but I think
people just don't like Tank. He looked sharp to me. People just be talking, Ennis said. And that's a real point. Every time Davis fights, there's already a narrative waiting for him. If he wins easily, people say he cherry-picks his opponents. If he struggles, they call him overrated. And now, even in a draw, it felt like everyone thought he took an L. That's the price of being a star in boxing. Fighters like Davis don't just win or lose, they get judged on a whole different level. The expectations are so high that even a close fight turns into a controversy. Ennis could see it for what it was. He wasn't going to pretend Davis looked bad when he clearly saw him controlling the early rounds. But he also wasn't going to act like Roach didn't have
result of your fight. Yeah. Should they reverse the result of that fight as well?
Just depends. Like if that changes the whole fight, if that gives.
Then there was the scoring confusion.
That's how you keep.
Ennis mentioned that even if the knockdown had been called, he thought the ninth round would have been scored 9-9. But that's not how the boxing scoring system works. Usually, a knockdown gets scored 10-8 unless the knockdown fighter dominates the rest of the round. Even though Ennis got that part wrong, his bigger point still held. The missed knockdown wasn't necessarily the reason Davis avoided a loss. That's the perspective people weren't ready to hear. The truth is, even if the knockdown had been counted, Davis still had a path to victory on the cards. Maybe it would have swung the fight in Roach's favor, maybe it wouldn't. But what Ennis saw was a fight that was already close before that moment. A fight that didn't have an obvious winner, and no matter
he said he thought he won. I think I won. We got a draw, so it's.
And now, the rematch is happening. The NYAC gave their final ruling, and the WBA wasted no time ordering a second fight. Davis and Roach are about to run it back, and this time, there won't be any confusion. No referee mistakes, no controversial scorecards. It'll just be a fight where one man will leave with no doubt. Ennis, for his part, probably won't change his stance. However, LamontRoach has every right to feel frustrated. The New York State Athletic Commission had the chance to correct what many believe was a major mistake in his fight against GervontaDavis, but instead, their statement, the commission openly admitted that referee Steve Willis made the wrong call in the ninth round when he failed to count a knockdown after Davis's knee touched the canvas. But despite acknowledging the error, they refused to change the result. That last part is what really got people talking. Roach isn't playing the victim or begging for respect. He's focused on the rematch and already carrying himself like the real winner. While Davis technically remains undefeated, the way the fight ended has led many to question whether he truly deserved to walk away without a loss. It all comes down to one moment, the ninth round. Up until that point,
if you take a knee in the fight and you touch down, whilst punches are being thrown, it has to be a knockdown. I've heard some
Roach
people
was
saying,
aggressive, pushing the pace, while Davis showcased his usual precision and
I don't
power.
buy that, to be honest with you.
But then came the moment that changed everything. Roach landed a flurry of punches, forcing Davis backward. As Davis tried to evade the shots, his knee touched the canvas, a clear knockdown by the rules of boxing. This wasn't just a small mistake. It was a massive moment that could have altered the fight's outcome. A knockdown in that round would have made it a 10-8 round for Roach, potentially tipping the scorecards in his favor. Instead, the fight continued without the knockdown being acknowledged, and the final
enough.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel out, to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on? And
I didn't want to get caught. Wow.
What made the situation even worse was that the NYAC, after reviewing the footage, admitted that Willis made the wrong call. They stated that the most appropriate decision would have been for the referee to count the knockdown. But then, in the same statement, they argued that the decision was ultimately up to the referee's discretion, and since he didn't count it, they wouldn't change the result. This left many boxing fans and analysts outraged. If the commission admits a mistake was made, then why not take action? Why acknowledge an error, but still let the result stand? The inconsistency in their decision only fueled conspiracy theories. That Davis, as one of boxing's biggest stars, was being protected.
Never see that fight happen again. It just will not happen. Gervonta Tank Davis doesn't like hard fights.
That the
it's
rematch
that simple.
Between
We've seen
Gervonta
it over
Davis
and over.
and
He fought a Ryan
LamontRoach
Garcia
has
drain.
been
He fought a very inexperienced
One major
Rolly
upcoming
Romero.
fight is set to shake up boxing in a way no one expected. Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez are now on a collision course, and with both men looking to make a statement, this fight could overshadow anything else happening in the lightweight and super lightweight divisions. The aftermath of Davis's controversial draw with Roach has left a lot of questions in the air, but with Stevenson and Lopez now being mentioned together more and more, the sport's attention is shifting toward a fight that could define an entire era. Teofimo Lopez has been outspoken about his thoughts on both Davis and Stevenson, and after Davis's performance against Roach, Lopez didn't hesitate to side with Tank if a fight against Stevenson were to happen.
Thoughts on the Gervonta Tank Davis situation. What was your assessment on his fight against LamontRoach, and what are your thoughts on the knockdown that wasn't called in round 9?
Believes that Davis's explosiveness and power would be too much for Stevenson's defensive style. However, he's also been watching Stevenson closely, knowing that a potential fight with him could be just as big, if not bigger, than anything involving Davis right now. Stevenson's last fight ended with a stoppage victory, but many felt he should have finished his opponent much earlier. This has sparked more debate about whether his style is effective enough against an elite pressure fighter like Lopez. With Davis tied up in a rematch, the opening is there for Stevenson and Lopez to settle their rivalry in the ring. Lopez has always thrived when the spotlight is on him.
But it's not
His victory over Vasyl Lomachenko in 2020 was one of the biggest upsets in recent boxing history, and since moving up to 140 lbs, he's continued to prove himself. A fight with Stevenson would not only bring him back into the lightweight conversation, but also give him a chance to show that he's still the most dangerous young fighter in the sport. Stevenson, on the other hand, has been looking for an opponent who will push him to prove his dominance. A fight with Lopez could be exactly what he needs to solidify his place among boxing's elite.
We told him to come back with an offer, and as far as that, we ain't hit nothing since then. Me and him fighting each other, we'll seal the deal on